How's it going? I haven't made one of these videos in a while, so I thought I would maybe do another one again. I've got my Telecaster here, my Squier Telecaster with some American pickups in it. I've got my trusty EV Cardinal microphone, and I'm going to change some strings and talk about some stuff. And when I started doing these things, I was talking about, just things that are on my mind, things that might be on your mind. And kind of just a bit of a meditative thing for me, really. But I thought it'd be fun to record it and get some input from y'all who might be listening and see what you think. A way to have some interesting conversation on what is a cold and rainy Saturday afternoon here in mid to late April in Ontario, Canada. So, I had a few things on my mind that I've made note of to talk about and to discuss, because I think we need to discuss things. I'm no narcissist by any means, but I figure if there's a little bit of a platform where I can talk about things that are on my mind, these things might be on your mind as well, and maybe we can have a conversation and reach some conclusions, find out what's bugging you, so to speak, and move on with a healthier new perspective. So again, this is just the drudgery part of changing strings. I try to do this like every 6 weeks. This Squier Telly is one of my main guitars in my teaching studio. As far as electrics go, I have a Squier jazz bass, and I use a Art and Luthery, beautiful cedar top acoustic as well. So I'm going to get rid of these curly bits on the end, because this Telecaster, I found out after I got it, has the most irritating bridge restring configuration, whatever you want to call it. It's just plain old dumb. It's like somebody was thinking, how can we make this really awkward for somebody? Short of making us tie the strings on like you do with a classical guitar, I think this is probably one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. But I'm sure there's a very good reason for it. I'm sure I trust in the engineers, the people that do math and stuff. Anyways, here's my old strings. I have my trusty old sock I'm going to use to clean this stuff up. I'm not the kind of guy who needs to do all the really fancy official tools and stuff to get jobs done. I think I need to I like to find the easy ways to do things and the efficient ways to do things. So rather than buying fretboard polish, I've got this methyl hydrate here from the local Canadian Tire, and that cuts through the grease, finger grease, on the fretboard, fingerboard, whatever you want to call it, quite nicely. I'm usually really quite picky about cleaning beside the frets, and last time I restrung this guitar, I did a really thorough job, so I don't really feel the need to get too picky about getting in there with the frets. Just a little bit of a Harry and Now on either side of the fret with some methyl hydrate on my old athletic socks here. And that seems to clean it up pretty well, I should say. So, what is on my mind? Well, you may or may not know I have a podcast called the Creative Train Podcast. And on there, the topics of those podcasts are all regarding how you may or may not choose, or why you may or may not choose to make a life in the arts, a living in the arts, not just getting by as a hobby and occasionally doing some sort of public stuff every once in a while, but how to survive, how to buy a house, car, feed your family, working in the arts. It's not glamorous. I can promise you that. It's a funny notion amongst people who see musicians or artists of any kind, and they see them with a new instrument, a shiny guitar, or a really cool looking drum set or something, or they see them driving a new car. And sometimes people, I think they secretly resent the fact that an artist can actually buy stuff. This is a little welder's magnet here. I'm just picking up the steel wool dust, which is really quite handy, because steel wool dust is like any other dust. It gets everywhere and does nothing but irritate you after a while. So yeah, people sometimes are a little bit, I think, resentful of artists, and one of the ways that you'll find this is by hanging out with other artists. You hear some horror stories about what people think of other people, and I think it comes down to some sort of professional jealousy. I don't have that. There's people whom I've dealt with creatively and in business who I like, and we get along well, and there's people who I don't like because they've either ripped me off or ripped off somebody that I know. So yeah, the most recent topic that I did on my podcast was about, what's a gentle way of putting it? People that complain a lot. And people that complain and think that by raging on social media that they're going to bring you to their side somehow. And I had an experience with this that took place over, probably got started around 2020, and it just got worse and worse and worse over there, over that period of time, to the point where I just sort of blocked this person. And so anyways, it's a Creative Train podcast. It's episode 68. Go check that out if you want. This is going to be in a completely different place. This is just for my YouTube personal vlog. So I'm doing something today for the first time. I've never used Ernie Ball power slinkies on a guitar before. I've used other variations of Ernie Ball stuff, but these are a little bit lighter than I would normally like to use. I like the 10 to 52s, and these ones are 11 to 48s, 10 to 49s, whatever it is. It's one gauge, one step lighter than I normally do. And here's the gigantic pain in the ass of this guitar. This bridge, you have to have the string go in this tiny hole and then magically appear up through the center of the bridge saddle. I'm like, who had that idea? So what I take to do is I take the string like that, put a little curve in it, and it usually seems to pop out just fine. I get the idea of having the string come up through the bridge saddle to keep a very positive downforce on the saddle so you don't get any rattle or buzz or anything weird like that. But it's such a under thought out way to do things, I think. So anyways, these complainy people, one of the people that I've encountered a lot of lately is a fellow artist, creator, Substacker, YouTuber. I do have a Substack as well if you're interested in that. I will say they, so I'm not outing anybody too obviously if you go through my Substacks, people. They're in a very defensive mode lately. And I kind of get it, because like I said before, people don't expect artists to be able to have nice things. They want us to be often the serfs of society that, like the court jester, just the dummy, the idiot that does stuff for them to entertain them. But she's gone a couple steps further. They have gone a couple steps further into making these video rants about what people think this person is all about. And people can assume a lot about artists. I've had people assume a lot about me. You find out about that in other private conversations from other people, but I'll say she then, is complaining about how people perceive her art. And I don't know, people perceive art in different ways. It's really not anything we can control once we do what we do and put it out for people to look at or hear or listen to or eat or watch or touch, whatever, or wear. We do what we do because it's what we do. And I should have worn my freaking glasses because I can't see what I'm doing. This is so irritating. This takes so much longer than is necessary. Anyways, this person is quite versatile and has taken to their channels lately, their social media stuff, to basically complain about people and how they perceive them as an artist. And to that, I mean, I commented publicly on one of them, and I said, just be you. It's all you can do. Nobody else can be you. So to get defensive about people's perception of your art, I did it. That's record time. To get defensive about how you think people are perceiving you just doesn't make any sense at all, especially coming from someone who says that they are a stalwart in their not only their focus on being an artist, but their their infallibility in their choices, and that's fine. But I think maybe, and this is a stretch, but when people get like this, I think they are secretly really needing some sort of confirmation or affirmation from the outside, whatever that might be. And when they don't get it, they get pissy. So it's like, don't go out there, offer your music, offer your art, offer your dance, your food, your clothes, whatever you're creating. Don't offer it to the world, and then under the title of this is what I do, the hashtag artist life, and then get pissy when people don't comment on it. I mean, it's the same thing as if you wear a hat in public that you haven't seen any of your friends wear and somebody comments on it, it's like, well, what are you wearing that for? It's like, because I want to. Things like that. It's like, don't get pissy if people complain or comment, I should say, about something that you've done. They're not you, and you're not them. Your perspective is not their perspective, obviously. And move on. Move on. Just do art. That's what you do. Remember, you're an artist. Do art. Don't put some sort of burden of expectation on the people that you think might see your stuff on social media to comment on it. I don't expect anything. Nothing. Zero. Once a year I look at my online earnings from SoCan and the distribution service that I use to put my music out digitally to the streaming platforms. And I'm like over $3 now over the last couple of years. I don't expect anything. I put stuff out there because I want to. That's all. I'm not putting it out there and begging people to watch it or listen to it. And that's exactly why I'm doing something as silly as this, because I did a bunch of these things before, and people genuinely seem to find it mildly interesting, because it's just you're just talking about stuff, doing regular old stuff. It's like sitting with somebody and having a conversation about stuff, so yeah, I wind strings a little bit differently than I see a lot of people do it. I learned from a fella when I was probably 15, 16 years old, a wonderful man named Don Scouse, who ran a shop called Ed's Music Workshop in Peterborough, Ontario. And he was always so kind to me. I was just the geeky kid that came into his shop wanting to look at and touch and play guitars that there's no conceivable way I could afford. And he was totally happy with that. There was even a couple of times where I'd had my bass in for service with him. He actually removed the frets from my first Tokai jazz bass so that I could get on my way to trying to be Jaco Pastorius. So he did that bass surgery for me, and then after that, he would even phone me. You know, I was a kid, 15, whatever, and he would phone me at like my mom and dad's house and say, "Oh, Mark, there's a really cool bass that came into the shop. You should come and check it out before I get the work done on it." And the person comes and picks it up. I'm like, really? And this guy's calling me and offering? So I would go. And so I learned how to change strings by watching him do it. I never did it on any guitars for him. There were always other people that were cooler than myself that got to work there in the shop. So yeah, sometimes people will watch me change strings and they're like, "What are you doing?" That's okay. So anyways, back to this artist person who's complaining about stuff. You know, there's videos of them doing a painting and talking about stuff. Mostly complaining about how people perceive their art. And big frickin' deal. It shouldn't matter to you at all how people perceive your art, because if you put the burden on yourself of trying to please people first, you will never create a single thing that you could call successful. You know, name one thing in any context, one thing that everybody universally likes. Whether it's an artistic thing, it could be a kind of food, it could be a movie, it could be a car, it could be a guitar. You might get a large percentage of people agreeing on certain things, but you won't get everybody. And this person has got such a bee in their bonnet about thinking that people think they're wasting their time doing their art. And it's like, yeah, I get it. Oops. People will be people. They will complain. And they will also really misunderstand you. And I had a wonderful conversation with a fella on Zoom this afternoon. It was a music theory lesson. And we went through a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff. He's by no means a beginner. But I was able to share with him some of my perspectives, and when he had his perspectives changed like that, I think he became a better musician, a better songwriter, a better composer. And when I had to re-explain some very core concepts to someone who's not a beginner, but to put it in the context of somebody who already understands these things, I think I became a better teacher. I became a better teacher because I had to think of a way to re-explain what's really a very fundamental core concept, but to someone who's already gone in a totally different direction and really didn't get what I was talking about until he started playing it. And then I could see the gears were turning, and it was really cool. It was a very humbling moment for me. So he was like living this moment of creative explosion, and it wasn't because I had any particular genius. I just gave him a different perspective. I gave him my perspective. And that's what we do as artists and educators, is we reach out to people and we don't promise them an education. We don't promise them fulfillment. We don't promise them anything except the opportunity to better themselves. And that's what it is. You can promise enrichment. I can give my perspective. If somebody doesn't like it, they're free to turn it down. It doesn't mean that I didn't give it. It doesn't mean that I didn't learn from that moment of trying to reform my thoughts and experience and ideas on the spot into a new sentence to explain to somebody whom maybe I've never met before. Somebody who is not a beginner, and I can't just use those same old lines that work. I can't use those. I would be speaking down to this person, and that's not what I want to do. On many levels, we were speaking as equals, but I just had some different perspectives that I think were really valuable to him in that moment. And we logged off about 2 hours ago, and I bet he's still at his piano right now working these things out. And I'm like, right on, I can imagine this is going to be a good thing for him. So here we go. Back at the start of the pandemic, I used to do these things called, when we were all in lockdown, horrible guitar covers. And if you go back through my channel, you'll find there's a separate playlist called Horrible Guitar Covers, in which I would ask my fellow musicians or whatever for a tuning they would like me to put my guitar in and play a certain song as if it was in a normal tuning appropriate to that song. And there were some really horrible things, and the way it came about is like, if you've ever been in a music store on like a Saturday afternoon when everyone's out of school and they want to go and show off that they just learned the Sweet Child of Mine riff, but they don't realize the guitar that they're playing is horribly out of tune. You'll know that sound. And that's what I was trying to do. I wasn't centering at anybody in particular. I did it myself. I would go into the local music store, grab a bass, and try and play some Rush riff or something like that. And ultimately, mostly in secret, embarrass myself because nobody was really watching. They tuned me out. But yeah, so this reminds me of that. Sounds great, right, for any other song. So I'm going to leave these on here for a little while, and then I'm going to come back in an hour or so and then stretch them out. I've got the whole day, which is quite nice to have a whole day to just do stuff up here in my studio. So yeah, this person who seems overly defensive, I get it. I kind of get it, I should say. You don't have to apologize or come out on the offense by releasing your new material on that offensive stance. That, instead of being humble and saying, here's something that I made, I hope you enjoy it. They're like, I made this and I worked hard on it because I'm a dedicated artist and you're not. But you could be if you were as dedicated as me. It's like, as interesting as I find a lot of this person's stuff, this last couple of weeks, they've been a bit unhinged, and I hope things are okay with them, because it certainly seems to the average listener, reader, whatever, that they are not okay. But anyway, so I hope you enjoyed this long-winded kind of rambling while I changed my strings to these for the first time, Power Slinkies 11 to 48s. Through the Pain in the Arse Bridge, and honestly, I think pretty sure I did that in record time. I'm just making sure that I did it all right, and I did. There's been, everybody's had a guitar string changing incident, so I'm going to leave it like that. So if you have any people that you're thinking of with this artistic, defensive or offensive stature, maybe just reach out to them, find something they did that they contributed, shared online, and give it a like, because we all will handle criticisms and even apparently lack of criticisms or observations very differently. And I've said it many times before in many other posts, And it wasn't until the pandemic thing happened where I was stuck at home and trying to do creative stuff only from my house, no gigs, no teaching, whatever. When you like and share and comment on things online, whether it is a YouTube thing like this or, an official business page of somebody's on Facebook or Instagram, or you like and share, comment on their podcast, what you're doing is you're putting a little bit of social media currency into their pocket. Algorithms pick up on what's popular, and artists and creators also will pick up and see these things in their notifications that, so-and-so said this. And I got one new follower on my YouTube last week. And I actually made a bit of a little public post saying, thank you. I'm at a record number for YouTube followers now. And it's 130. I'm not one of those millions of people. I don't have the silver plaque or the gold plaque on my wall. Yeah, I might. Who knows? But if you feel like there's someone in your life, an artist who's struggling, as we almost all are, reach out and like one of their things. You don't have to say anything. Like it. Share it. Say, hey, I know the guy or gal that made this thing. And other people might see it, and they might not share it, but it might bring some pleasure or joy to their day at a time when they either needed it or didn't think they needed it and least expected it. And there it was, brought to you by art, a creative person. And like I said, one creative mind to another will all reach out and will hopefully make this world a better place, especially with nice new guitar strings now. So thanks for watching. Garden, out of sight, I hear you calling.